It's loud tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to say underground. Is there anyone signed up for open forum? Okay. So welcome to our October 10th Tiverton School Committee meeting. Mr. Rurick is ill this evening, and Ms. Donnelly Roach is only available for the consent agenda, so we are probably going, just as by way of announcement to the audience, we are probably going to move or continue most of the agenda for new business to our meeting for October 24th. Sorry if that disappoints anyone, but it was an unavoidable set of circumstances. So can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Dr. Larkin?
Yes, Mrs. Black.
May I please remove 5B, 3, and 4 just for one question?
Is that a, yep, can I have a second for that?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, Mrs. Black?
Yes, interim technology director and temporary dean of students. I just want to make sure they're both temporary, and because the technology director has to be posted and, you know, all that stuff and go
Right.
through the process.
Ms.
And then the
Dunn.
dean of students is just for a month, not even, right? Just till the end of the month?
That's my understanding. Mrs. Donnelly Roach?
Yes, the position of interim technology director we're recommending be filled by a existing employee, and then there would be a proper search, to your point. And the other position is and was posted as temporary.
And that's only till like October 23rd, they said?
Yes.
20th, 23rd, and two
On or
different
around that
spots.
date, yes.
Yeah.
My understanding is that person is going to fulfill some of the roles of the vice principal until the new vice principal takes, I don't know, office, takes the position on October 23rd. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
And can I have a motion to approve the remainder of the
Motion.
consent agenda in entirety?
Second.
All those in favor? Mrs. Donnelly Roach?
Lauren Kaur, physical education health teacher at the high school. Grace Janes, 4/5 PE and health teacher at the high school. David Carnavale, interim technology director. Amy Mullen, temporary dean of students at the high school. Kimberly Testa, long-term 4/5 music substitute.
And Dr. Larkin?
Yes, Mrs. Black.
I'd just like to welcome all these new people, and your resumes are fabulous. And the music teacher I'm very excited about, so welcome to everyone that's coming aboard. Thank you.
Yes, welcome to Tiverton. Okay, now I'd like to entertain a motion to continue the remainder of the agenda with the exception of item 7, old business, discussion possible vote on school committee recommendations to the town charter, and number 8, new business E, Core and Tiverton Prevention Coalition request to start an integrative arts program.
I'll make that motion. Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. So at our last meeting, we discussed possible recommendations to the town charter, and I believe we had gone through everything that we had received to date. Was there anything else that anyone wanted to bring forward?
Dr. Larkin?
Yes, Mrs. Black.
I had 1218,
Yep.
and 1218 is the one that
You may want
the
to speak
u-
into your mic.
the
Mrs.
use
Black.
of town resources to influence a voting contest. And I just wanted to remove the word labor, because I do agree that we shouldn't like use the paper that we have from the taxpayers and make thousands of copies, send them out to say who to vote for or anything. But as far as labor goes, it's very important. Now, when they did the charter last time, the review, I was there July 20th, 2011, and I brought this up when they put 1218 in. And I said, I would feel very uncomfortable standing out there as I do with my sign from 6 in the morning till 8 at night, because that's my labor. It says no elected official can use their labor. And they said, oh, don't worry, that's not to limit your free speech or anything like that. But ever since I do it, I'm always a little uncomfortable. Someone might put a charter complaint against me, and I would never want that to happen because I honor the charter. And so I just wanted to take that word labor out of there, and I think it would make it very clear, because everyone stands out there. You know, the town council, the budget committee, they were all elected, so they'd all be in the same boat as I was in. So I think that would make it clearer if we just struck the word labor out, because I do agree with the rest of it. We shouldn't be using taxpayers' money for our budget. We pay for our own signs. There's no town resources used. It all comes from us. Okay? Is that good?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a circumstance under which someone might file a charter complaint in this town, but yeah, I agree that
We try very hard
It
to
would
obey,
be-
obey the rules. You know, we do.
I completely agree with that.
Can I just ask one thing?
Yes.
With the removal of the word labor, would that open, I'm trying just to be the devil's advocate for anticipation
Sure, sure.
of remarks.
Mhm.
Would that open the door to anyone to spend time advocating for a position while being paid as an employee? Would it need to be worded such that it would specifically speak to voluntary commitment or something along those lines?
Yeah, you could. That would be good. It says the outcome of an election, ballot question, or referendum. So if you put voluntary and with it, you know, something like that, that's fine. You know, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I'm just concerned that there would be criticism, that we would be saying, oh, okay, well, let's get all the teachers out
Right.
there to,
They would
you know,
definitely
spend their
criticize.
day
Volunteering.
Volunteering. yeah.
volunteering on a school day, let's say. You know, I'm
Right.
really trying to anticipate.
Right. Okay. So,
Okay, so maybe we can kind of
Tweak.
make that language conform a little bit more to, and of course, these are things that we are proposing to them. Their job is to vet this further, or I guess dismiss it out of hand.
we'll just open up the discussion
Yep.
anyway, you know, and our concerns, and then what they do is they go over it, and then they dispose of it if they don't think it has any validity. So that's what we'll do, I guess, just to
Okay.
bring it up again, that we're concerned, I
All right.
guess.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And was there anything else?
I'd like to make a change to 7036 under the duties and responsibilities of the Budget Committee. Currently, 7036 reads, "To present the docket to the electorate at the financial town hearing." I would like to see a change to read, "To move the public hearing before the docket is finalized in order to accept public input and make changes if necessary." This would give the public a chance to come forward with any input or ideas that they might have. We couldn't do that in the past, and I was hoping it would open it up for discussion
So you'd move the financial town hearing
before.
before the docket is finalized?
Yes,
And then would you then have a hearing afterwards?
afterwards, yes.
So you'd have two hearings, essentially. I mean, that's a good idea, I think, because right now, I think it's only kind of invited input since they don't have their open forum anymore.
Right, and then that
Presuming they
kind of
continue
ties
with
our
that.
hands.
Right.
Whatever they present, and we don't have a chance to give any input.
The problem is now, the public hearing is not really a public hearing because everything's
Right.
finalized. You
Right.
could come with the best idea in the world, and it couldn't be implemented because everything's been voted on, it's all been printed. So that's not really a real public hearing. So it's,
Okay.
I know it's a problem with having one before and after, but if someone could give input, it could be
Well-
good.
Would it perhaps negate the need for a second one?
I mean, I don't
Well,
know.
I think they're still probably supposed to have one once they've got a final number, but possibly. But I like the idea
It's a very
of
interesting-
enforcing them to, or, asking them to have an opportunity for the public to say things before the actual docket goes up.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's what I would like to see. They may not
So,
agree with me, but.
I think it's
no,
good.
I like
It's
the
a good
idea
idea.
personally. So we haven't really put these up for votes. It was really something we're just deciding
We're just talking about it. And
to talk about. Anybody else? Anything else?
now, Dr. Larkin, did you, on the agenda was for me to give a little, do you want me to give that discussion of what's been happening there, or do you want me to wait?
I think we've continued it, so yeah.
You want
I
me to
would-
wait?
Yeah,
Okay, all
please.
right.
To,
Because that was actually under new business.
Okay.
So, so I was wondering if anyone would want to volunteer to put this all together in one document that we can then actually present to them on Monday.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I knew that I could rely on you, Mrs. Farnworth. Any other discussion under discussion of possible recommendations to the Town Charter Review Commission? Okay, so item 8E is Core and Tiverton Prevention Coalition request to start an integrative arts program. Ms. Chris Mizzello, friends? No, you go first.
Is it on now?
It is not- yep.
So the best ideas
Of all people.
come from what if, right? And last year in the high school, through the Tiverton Prevention Coalition, we started a theme of Who Am I Anyway, which was an original narrative, kids in the LGBTQ program, a collaborative between drama and the GSA, put on an original performance. And in the process of this, we really discovered that there is an incredible amount of power in the narrative. And the work that I do with adolescents, especially in the 5th through 8th, I thought, well, you know, there's so much happening in the high school, in the prevention, in the intervention. What if we started something in the middle school that took the idea of prevention, so we're not struggling so much to scramble when this 5th through 8th graders get up to the high school. Because it has so much to do with the tween brain. And a lot of people think it's the gray matter, but it's actually really the white matter. It's the myelination process that starts really, which is like this really cool white protective fatty substance, sort of like a coating on an electrical wire. In the adolescent brain, all of this starts from the back up. So adolescents in the prefrontal cortex are missing out on, they're not quite ready for decision making and making decisions where risk taking is involved, and they can't really help it because their brain isn't quite there yet, although we know that they're overstimulated with social media, and they're struggling to figure out how they fit in and what they have to offer. So I know that you looked through the packet. I just want to make a little change that we're looking at starting in November now, November through February. And I just want to give you just some basic statistics. And I'll blow through this really quickly. But I think it gives you a little bit of context into why this program is so important. And in August, when we started talking about this, why it matters that we're starting this. So this age group, the plasticity in an adolescent brain is never too late for learning and layering with after-school activities, meeting challenges and goals, engaging in community activities with peers, and how they can have a profound effect on their peer group. This is also the time when hormones are spiking, and we begin to see about 70% of all mental health issues, including anxiety, eating disorders, and depression, begin to surface. These risks also risk for addiction also begin to spike. This age group is looking to understand themselves and how they fit into the great picture of who they are and why they are. With the increase in social media and the pressure to be perfect, to keep up, to constantly have pressure from peers, from great expectations, and to withstand verbal and physical bullying, the weight of this very special combo platter feels like, as one 13-year-old told me, like I'm climbing Mount Everest in high heels. So here are just some basic statistics. Anxiety and depression in high school kids have been on the rise since 2012. Our tweens and our teens are facing a wider spectrum of angst with broader psychological disorders. In 2015, about 3 million teens ages 12 to 17 had at least one major depressive disorder. And about 30% of all girls and 20% of all boys in this age group have had at least one anxiety disorder. This is from the National Institute of Mental Health. I'm not telling you anything that you all don't know and observe. So we know that these brains crave stimulation. However, our climate has been changed with the amount of stimulus and this constant source of data, pictures, the pressures added with family stress, relationship challenges, gender issues, feeling isolated and disconnected and not knowing how to de-escalate or tap into another source that's within the school community. So one of the most powerful things that we can do is offer a creative process. The actual creative process can rewire and help function all those tendrils in the brain to coming up with a holistic way of looking at not only the big questions, but the answers as well. So what we came up with is a 14-week program that will coincide with the high school program and the end of January, February, where these 5th through 8th graders, which is a free program, it's open to anyone who wants to engage in this program. They will have a creative arts, performing arts process. 2 of our sessions will meet with Nanaquacut Studios, where they have yoga training, mindfulness, somatic training. How do you feel, what you're feeling, and why? And then we'll also have bookends with guidance to start a conversation about how they can do something about ongoing bullying, peer pressure. So we're kind of creating this pilot program. We are creating a pilot program and providing a toolkit for a group of students who want to become more engaged in making change. Not only creating more self-awareness, but being a part of a change agent in the middle school environment. This opens the door also to extending the Coalition Cafe in the middle school. So now we're doing things like open mic night, performance night, the other things that are already happening in the Coalition Cafe. So we're creating a bigger, better, more creative force of young people to make an impact not only in our school communities, but in our overall community. I don't know. It's a big theme. It's a big project. I don't know of any other school district that is taking this on. CORE has been awarded the grant. We will be the fiscal agent for the grant. We have staffed it. Now we are hopeful that we can get some referrals from Dr. Mitchell. We can take up to 25 kids right now. Just through word of mouth, we have 12 already registered for the program. So I see it as a win-win. I mean, yeah.
So, as Gloria mentioned, the grant is flows through the Tiverton Prevention Coalition. It's the STOP grant that we were awarded last year. It's a 4-year grant, so we're just ending year 1 now. It's a federal grant that is to address underage drinking. We've taken it a little farther afield than simply looking at underage drinking. We are trying to address some of those core issues that our adolescents are faced with, and enhancing the protective factor of social emotional learning opportunities. So the timing is perfectly aligned with the conversations that are happening in the district around social emotional learning. This gives us an opportunity to do some real concentrated work with some young people who not necessarily at any greater risk than their peers, but are seeking out this opportunity to participate, to have an opportunity for self-expression, self-exploration. So we're really looking forward to looking at what opportunities given to these young people can they take and build a platform for themselves as they age from the middle school into the high school, and sort of looking at how they, as they have more opportunity to facilitate their own activities, to see how that kind of spins out into the future. We'll be, I hate to use the word evaluating. We're not evaluating the students. We're evaluating the progress that we can make through this small amount of funding, through an arts-based program, to see what kinds of results we can get, with the hope that that will draw future funding. Hopefully federal funding will become more available than it is currently.
I just want to acknowledge, the core organization has some of our board members here this evening. We met last night for our monthly board meeting and discussed this. I know we're all having these discussions about how we can empower our younger people. And I see it in my teaching. I see it in the creative work that I'm doing. I hear it from other parents. And I am just incredibly hopeful that this foundation, this remarkable foundation with this grant, is really only the first stop. I think we are on to something here that is much needed. And I am really just excited to start this project and see the results that will happen very quickly. Are there any questions? Any remarks?
Yes, Mrs. Black.
Yes, I'm very excited about this. I know we need wraparound services. We've cut some of the services at the high school, and it's not a good thing, and I'm really excited for the middle school to have these students have this opportunity to express themselves and learn their self-worth and value, and it's so exciting. I'm really thrilled, and I know this group of people, and you're the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve the
I
program?
make the motion.
Second.
Any other discussion?
I just have a couple of small questions. Because Dr. Dice Mitchell isn't with us this evening, I assume that she's fully on board with this.
She is.
And you mentioned is 25 slots?
Well, that's a number that I feel like, I mean, for me, I'd take 100. I mean, I would take any kid that wants to be involved in this program. We've got the staff to do it. Large numbers don't frighten me. So I am of the concept, the more the merrier. This will conclude with a in-school performance for the middle school that parallels with the in-school performance with the high school program, and then both groups will have an evening performance. So yes, the more the merrier.
I thank you both for collaborating and for coming up with what I'm sure will be a winning program. Sounds great.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Okay.
Doc,
Yes, Mr. Cabral. Yeah, I was actually, you beat me to the punch. I was going to ask the committee to actually take up 8J, K, and L. Yeah. Can I have a motion for that?
Motion.
To bring back to the agenda 8J, K, and L.
K, and L.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, so item 8J, after-school running program, Fort Barton.
Motion to approve the running program at Fort Barton School. school after-school running program.
Second.
Mrs. Wardell, you want to say anything, or silence is golden? Can you? I'm sorry. You have to come because you don't have a mic. You're not mic'd. That's the problem. You've got your running shoes on.
Yeah, look at that. I do, yeah. It's appropriate, right? We'd like to start a free after-school running program. It meets once a week, and it's called Just Run Fort Barton. And it's being sponsored by the Big Sur Marathon Corporation out of California. And it will meet once a week, 3:30 to 4:30. I'm sorry, 3:15 to 4:15. Up to 18 children can participate, grades 2 to 4. And it's an all-inclusive program. And our lead person who's running it is Jill Spawn. She's from Newport County Regional Special Education. She's the adaptive PE teacher for our region. And we also have other volunteers, all BCI checked, that will be assisting during the program, and it combats childhood obesity, and they also work on goal setting. It'll be a combination of an indoor and outdoor program, so I am so glad that you're looking at this now, because time is now because of the weather.
Right.
So thank you.
Okay.
I have one question. Oh,
Sure.
Questions. Parents responsible to pick up the children?
Yes.
At the end of the program?
Mhm.
How many weeks?
We're doing
Approximately.
each in 8-week sections, but we hope to run this for the entire school year,
Good.
beginning next week. So that'll be the first 8 weeks through December, which will lead us right to December break.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Okay. Thank you. And item 8K, Prevention Coalition request. Mrs. Elwell?
Thank you. I'm very glad to have the opportunity to talk about this tonight. The two requests before you, the first is a typo. It should say Family Fit Night. I'm going to take credit for the typo. That's probably exactly how I sent it in. But rather than a Family Fun Night, we're calling it Family Fit Night. And the idea behind it, let me stop 1 second and introduce Jenny McNamee. Jenny is the Tiverton Prevention Coalition Coordinator. And I've moved into a different position within the county. So my formal title is Newport County Prevention Coordinator, Coalition Director. It's still very new and it's a tongue twister. Family Fit Night comes out of the idea of wanting to get families together with their children, with their children's peers, to be active, having a good time, doing physical fitness types of activities. The idea behind it is that it would be hosted 3 times throughout the school year, 1 time at each of the elementary schools, pending building request forms, which we have not submitted because of waiting for your approval for this. The idea would be that all students would be invited to participate regardless of which school they attend, but that we would spread it around the community so that each school had the opportunity to host. All the funding for any of the activities would come through the coalition. The thought is that it would be an hour long, with 45 minutes approximately being some sort of facilitated physical activity, like a karate class or a yoga class or some sort of fitness dance class, something that the kids and the parents could participate in together. And the expectation is that it would not be a drop-off. It's not a babysitting or a child care opportunity for parents. Parents would be expected to stay and participate. Parents or guardians or an older sibling or some caregiver would be expected to stay and participate. And it would be followed up by a healthy snack and conversation opportunity for some sharing. So that's the first request. The second request for a grandparent support group has been a conversation that has been ongoing at the high school for years. We've talked about the surprising number of Tiverton school students who are being raised by a grandparent. Other caregivers as well, aunts, uncles, but particularly grandparents. and the need to somehow reach out and support those caregivers who may be a generation past their, their prime time parenting. And as things change with media, my children are only in their early 20s, and I'm already fearful that by the time my grandson is in school, I will no longer know how to do math. So that's an example that grandparents, older caregivers could really use the opportunity to talk with each other, gain support from each other, and our goal is to have a facilitated group. Jenny has reached out and has met with someone from the counseling trauma center at St. Anne's Hospital, who's very willing to help us get off the ground. All of the confidentiality and ethics that would take place with any sort of counseling scenario would be in play. There would be confidentiality and anonymity in terms of who participates. The coalition, the school, etc., would not necessarily have any records of that. We are planning to host that support group at the town library, because sadly many people don't have a real comfortable feeling around participating in something like that in the school buildings. For those of us who are very school oriented, it's almost hard to believe that this is not a safe, nurturing environment for everybody, but for some people it just isn't. So what we're hoping is that there's a comfort zone with the library being an outside of school entity. So what we're really asking permission for is not necessarily the support group itself, since it will be held off-site, but the approval from the school committee so that the support group could be advertised through the school listserv, and that it would allow the guidance counselors or the principals or anybody with knowledge of a child who has a grandparent as their primary caregiver to share the flyer and information with those folks. It doesn't, we're not asking for the opposite. We're not asking for any names of any folks that we would reach out to, but simply that our literature, our flyers would be sent out through the school to those families who might really benefit from this.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve?
I would like to make a motion in two parts. I would like to make a motion to approve the Family Fit Night as long as the elementary principals agree to allow that to happen. You have to check with them first, you said?
Absolutely. We didn't.
Second.
Cart and a horse thing. We
Yeah.
didn't know which thing
Yeah.
to get approval for first.
Yeah.
That's okay, that's okay. And then, if that goes smoothly, I would like to approve the grandparent support group
Okay.
Second.
also.
So we have Mrs. Black, you're going to second that?
Yes.
Okay. So any discussion, principals?
No.
Any thoughts?
You're okay
Great
with it?
idea.
Great idea?
Yep.
Great.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Any other
Thank you.
questions, discussion?
I can only speak, as you were giving your presentation regarding the grandparents. I know 5.
Yeah.
And I don't know nearly
Yeah.
as many people as some of
Yeah, no,
you
it's a great
do.
idea.
It's
It
a
is. It's a
phenomenal
great idea.
and I think it'll be a great help
It will be.
for people.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for thinking of that.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank
can I have, sorry? Yep. Can I have a motion to approve homeschooling request at Ranger School? Item L.
Motion to approve the homeschooling request at Ranger School.
I'll second it. All those in favor? Okay, and since it's really still pretty early, I'm going to ask for a motion to place item H and I, 8H and I back on the agenda. It's approval of the heating oil bid and the natural gas contract extension.
Motion
So these might be
to-
time sensitive, so I would like to get them accomplished.
I make a motion to move items 8H, 2017-18 heating oil bid, and 8I natural gas contract extension back on the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor? So these are 2 items in your, we can take them together, I think. These are 2 items which are basically extending or renewing our bids for heating oil, or our cost for heating oil and natural gas at a favorable rate, as Mr. Fiore was able to establish for us prior to his leaving. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve them.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, got a lot more done than I thought we would. So, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much.